Hello guys, welcome back to another episode here on African Confessions. There is a message that I want to share with you guys, and this message, it comes from a translation of a voice note that I received. Then we had to give you this translation. The translation reads like this. Hello my brother, how are you? Can you please post my story? And when you post my story, please hide my identity. So this story that I want to share with you, it is a secret. Let me say that my story is a family secret that happened between my family, as in my mother got the help of her brother. Then her brother was a traditional healer. So they did all of these rituals that they did. Right now, Brother Nashi, my mom, she is quite old. So we ended up putting her at the old people's home where she is staying. So whenever I go there to pay her a visit, whenever I look at my mom, at the end of the day, when I look at her, I keep on asking myself a lot of questions. I don't know if I should blame her or if she did everything that she did because she was left with no choice. She was a desperate woman when she did all of these rituals that she did with the help of her brother. My brother, I think that my mother did all of these things so that she can give her children and her grandchildren a better life. Me and my family, we are currently living here in the United Kingdom. That is where we are permanently based. And as for the rest of our extended family members, they are there in Zim, and they never got that opportunity to get out of Zim. When they learned that we were now in the United Kingdom, that was when they started communicating with our mother. But our mother then said that she was not going to bring any of our father's relatives here to the United Kingdom after we had gotten our permanent residencies, because they chose to abandon us soon after the death of our father. They left us with nothing. They took all the tools that my father was using, because my father was a mechanic, and at the time when he passed away, that was when his young brothers and our aunties came. Then they took all the tools that were in my father's workshop. They went and they sold them all. So my mom, after we had gotten our permanent residencies, what she started to do was that she only brought our uncle's children over here to the United Kingdom. Then she said that she was going to leave all of our father's relatives to suffer there in Zim, because at the time of our suffering, they had chosen to forget about us. So to her, this was more like sweet revenge. So my brother, one thing that I have noticed is that when you are here in the western part of the world, you can see that a lot of people here in the western world, there are some things that they do not believe in, and these things that they do not believe in back in Africa, they are very real. Like if you speak about witchcraft, I regularly speak with my wife about witchcraft. She does not believe in any of those, even though I have never told her our family secret. She does not even think that witchcraft, it is real. But Brother Nashi, even though it is very hard to convince my wife that there is such a thing that is called witchcraft, but in my case, my brother, if it was not for witchcraft, I could be still in Zim right now, not knowing where life was going to take us, considering with the poverty that our family had at the time when we were still in Zim. So witchcraft in a way helped us to get out of poverty. So what happened, my brother, is that before we had came here to the United Kingdom, my mother, she used to work at this other farm. The farm was called Ivan's Farm. It was quite a very big farm when you are on your way going to Chitungwiza, the town called Chitungwiza. So my mom used to work there. When my mom was working there, there was a time when there were some students that came. So these students that came, they were on their attachments. Then my mom found favor in the eyes of one of the students that had came to that farm just doing her attachments. She was a young lady. She was a little bit older than my sister, and my sister was the same age with one of her cousin sisters at the time who was here in the United Kingdom. So that young lady, she kept on calling my sister a little sister because my sister was the same age as her cousin sister. So my mother then started doing some piece jobs for that young lady because they had their own accommodation right there on the farm. So my mom would go over to their houses doing the piece jobs and stuff. Then my mom, as she was working for this young lady, she ended up working at the young lady's parents' house there in Harare. She had just found favor in their family, and at the end of the day, that was when that young lady who was a boss to my mom got married. After she had gotten married, she then asked for the permission to take my sister so that my sister can work for her permanently as a maid. And this was like great news for our family because this was going to become something like an extra income because my mom, she was struggling already. That young lady that had taken my sister, she was quite a very good woman. She used to pay for our rent. There were many times that she would pay for our school fees when my mother was struggling to settle the bills. So whilst my sister was working at that woman's house, my sister was someone who was very, very beautiful. She is very beautiful. So when she was working there, that was when the cousin sister to that young lady who had offered a work opportunity to my sister, that cousin sister of hers returned back from the United Kingdom, coming back to Zim. And at that time, when she had traveled back to Zim, she had recently gotten married to her husband, who was a white man. So they had came to Zim together, and at that time she was pregnant when all of these things happened. So when that cousin sister to my sister's boss arrived in Zim, that was when my sister was given some off days so that she can come and visit us. And at the time when my sister came back home just to pay us a visit, then it was at that same time when our uncle, the one who was a traditional healer, was staying at our place just for a little while because he had some customers that he needed to attend there in Harare. So he had came from the village just to pay us a visit, and he had been called by one of his customers, so he was busy attending to them. So as my sister one day was speaking with my mom, that was when my uncle told my mom that everything that my sister was telling my mom, this was an opportunity of a lifetime, and if we were not going to grab this opportunity of a lifetime, we will die in poverty. And this opportunity was the only way out of poverty. At that time, Brother Nashi, I think I was a little bit young to understand what our uncle meant, but what they were trying to do is that they wanted my sister to use some herbs and some charms that my uncle was going to give to her so that she can go and steal that white man from her boss's cousin sister. Then that man, when he would have returned to the UK, he would then take my sister with him. That is when they decided to perform some rituals. So the way that they performed these rituals on my sister, my uncle said that even though he was a traditional healer, but he was a man and he could not look at my sister's nakedness. So what they did is that my uncle then sent some money back to the village. He just gave someone on the bus the money to go and to give to one of the people that he used to work with. She was a woman. So when the bus came back, then that lady who used to work with my uncle, she also came back. And I still remember that at the time when that woman came back, they immediately went to work on my sister's body. and we were then told that we had to go and sit outside because we only had 2 rooms. So these 2 rooms, the way that they were built, first you had to enter into the first room that we used as a kitchen and a living area. Then there was a bedroom in which our mom used to sleep in that room. So we were told that we had to go and sit outside. So it was me, my uncle, and my 2 young brothers. We all went outside, then we sat. But I was really troubled with the way that my sister kept on crying as if they were hurting her. She kept on crying until tears started falling off from my eyes, not knowing what they were doing to her body. After this thing had been done, that was when I was told that I had to go into the house, eyes closed. And when I had gotten into the house, I was then given this other little bowel. When I was outside, when I opened my eyes, it was when I realized that the white bowel that had been given to me, inside of that white bowel, there was some 2 used razor blades, and these 2 used razor blades, they were stained with blood, and I was told that I had to go and flush those 2 razor blades, and I was not supposed to look back. So that is what I did. I went into the toilet because at that place we had an outside toilet. When I went there, then I flushed those 2 used razor blades that were stained with blood. I then returned back indoors, being guided by that woman, because I was told that I was not supposed to open my eyes since my sister, she was lying on the floor naked, as my mom and that woman were busy working on her body. But the screaming kept on going on and on. My sister, she was screaming in pain, not knowing what they were doing to her. It was only after they had done all the things that they had done to my sister. Me and my sister, we were really close. When I was comforting her, that was when my sister told me that they had done some markings on her body. So these markings, Brother Nashi, in Shona, we call it Nyora, whereby they take some razor blades, and when they take those razor blades, they then mix those razor blades with some herbs, and after they have mixed those razor blades with some herbs, then they will start pushing some herbs into your body. So they did all of this on my sister's private parts. They cut open the flesh that is on the side of the private parts. After they done so, they then started pushing in some herbs into those places where they had cut her open. That was why she was screaming. She said that when they were doing all of this, our mom, she was holding my sister's other leg. Then that other woman who had came from the village, she was holding her other leg whilst she was sleeping on the floor with her back against the floor. Then they opened her legs wide open whilst that woman was busy slicing her private parts with the razor blades. And after that, that was when that woman started pushing those herbs deep into her private parts at the places where they had cut her open. And she was saying that each and every time that they would do this, it was very painful. That was why she was screaming like that. So after this whole thing had been done to her, they had told her that they were removing some bad luck because she had came of age and it was time for her to get married. So they wanted her to be free from any kind of bad luck so that she can meet a man who was financially stable so that he can help her to change the fortunes of her family. So it was my brother. After she had healed, that was when she returned back to her workplace. But we were surprised because that same day when she went back to work, she returned again because she left the place where we were staying. It was somewhere around 2 p.m. if I still remember correctly. But when she came back that very same night. We heard that there was a car that was at the gate. My mom then told me to go and see who it was because at the place where we were staying, most of the times our landlord was not always at home, so we were more like caretakers. Then when I went there, I saw that my sister was in that car and she was with a white man. So I ran back home because this was like the first time for me coming across a white man. So I was scared, thinking what this white man was doing with my sister. When I came back, when I told my mom and my uncle everything that I had seen, I then saw that my uncle was very happy and he started clapping his hands and he knelt down and he started thanking his ancestors. And it seemed as if whatever that they had done to my sister, it had worked quickly. When they then told me to go and open up the gate for them. But as I was walking to the gate, I clearly heard my uncle saying that he was a little bit surprised because he expected that this thing was going to take a very long time, and he was worried that the white man was going to return back to the UK before the charms had properly worked on him. And if the charms were not going to work quickly, maybe it was going to backfire. Anyway, Brother Nashi, I went and I opened the gate for my sister to get Brother Nashi. When that man came, he actually came into that small two-roomed house that we used to stay, and he started speaking with my mom, even though they could not understand most of the things that he was telling them. But my sister, after this white man had left, that was when our sister told us everything that had happened. Our sister told us that when she was on her way going back to her workplace, I came across that white man. He was just driving around. Then that white man stopped for him and they started speaking, and that white man told our sister that he had found her to be very attractive and he wanted to see her family. So when my sister refused, he kept on insisting until he finally said, please just do this. Then my sister agreed. So that was how my sister had managed to bring this white man over to our place. Then after they had prepared some supper, so after they had prepared some food for that white man, Brother Nash, after he had eaten, he then returned back home to his wife. And when my sister was left behind, that was when my uncle took some herbs. They were really smelly. When he took them out of this other plastic bag, then he started breaking them down and he instructed my mom on how she was supposed to use those smelly herbs on my sister. And she was supposed to bath our sister. Then my sister and my mom, they went into the bedroom which was used by my mother. So we had this very big metallic dish that my mom would use whenever she would be doing a laundry. So they filled that dish with water. Then she started bathing my sister using those herbs that were really smelly. After my sister had finished bathing herself, that was when my mom received a phone call. The phone call was for my sister's boss. She was looking for her. Then my uncle told my sister to tell her boss that she had to send her brother-in-law so that she can come and pick my sister up, because my sister's boss, she had been looking for her, wondering as to why she had not yet returned back to work. After my mom had been instructed by my uncle to tell her boss that she was supposed to send her brother-in-law, that same white man who had came to our place. So this white man, when he was on his way again, my uncle then told my mother that she was supposed to prepare a meal for this white man again. After my mom had quickly prepared a meal, it was just pap and chicken and a little bit of vegetables. Then my uncle took that plate that had the meal that was going to be given to that white man, and he went outside, not knowing what he did with the food. When he came back with the plate, it seemed as if maybe he had sprinkled some water on the pap, because you could see that the pap was no longer hot, but it had gone very cold within a short period of time. Finally, that man came and I went and I opened up the gate for him. It was late in the night. He then parked his car and they offered him the food, and after he had eaten the food, he was then told that he could only go back to his wife the very next morning. Like a zombie, Brother Nashi, he just agreed, and he asked where he was supposed to sleep, in the car, or where was he supposed to sleep. Then my mother encouraged my sister to go and sleep with him in my mother's bedroom. Yes, Brother Nashi, they slept together in my mom's bedroom, whilst my uncle, my siblings, and that woman who had came from the village, we all slept in that room that we used as a kitchen and the living room. This happened, Brother Nashi. After this had happened, I thought that maybe tomorrow there was going to be war after his wife was going to find out. So the next morning, after that white man had returned back to his wife, he went back. I think it was somewhere around 5, because I was the one who woke up and went and opened up the gate for him so that he can go outside, and it was a little bit dark. Then later on, my sister then returned back to work, but she came back. When she came back, she told us that she had been fired by her boss, and our uncle told us that we were not supposed to worry. Since she had slept with this man, she was now that white man's wife, and he was going to make sure that this man was going to take our sister to the United Kingdom. My brother, that man, before he had left for the United Kingdom, because it seemed as if they started fighting, him and his wife, and he came again to our place. But this time around, when he came to our place, he just left some groceries. Then he gave my sister a phone, and he gave my sister a laptop, and he gave my sister a laptop as well. And my sister told me that all of these gadgets, she had been told by this man that she was supposed to use them when they will be communicating with each other. After that man had returned back to the United Kingdom, he then started calling my sister regularly. So what my mom, my sister, and my uncle used to do is that whenever my sister will give that man a gift, like most of the times the man will send our sister some money, and our uncle was the first one to take the money, and he will keep the money throughout the night, saying that he was going to dip the money into some of his charms so that this white man can keep on giving my sister a lot of money. He was saying that this money that he has given you, we are going to use it so that all of his money can become yours. You know what they used to do, Brother Nashi? My mom, my uncle, and my sister, they will then buy something with the same money that the white man would have given to my sister, like just a simple t-shirt or any simple gift. But before my sister could send that gift to the United Kingdom, they used to perform a lot of rituals on all of these gifts that were intended for that white man. So my sister will then soak the t-shirt into some herbs, and after drying the t-shirt, and my sister will then repackage it as if it was still brand new. Then they will then send that t-shirt to the United Kingdom as if it was just a normal gift. So these charms that they were using on that white man, they were making sure that the white man could become even more addicted to my sister. Then the man started sending a lot of money to my sister. Finally, we were living a very comfortable life until my sister then traveled to the United Kingdom to reunite with this white man who later became her husband. After this, that was when my sister convinced this man to take us all to the United Kingdom. That is how we ended up living here in the United Kingdom. At the time when she came to the United Kingdom, she kept on using a lot of charms on this man. After we were all in the United Kingdom, this white man, unfortunately, he passed away, and I suspect that my uncle used a lot of evil charms so that this white man can just die, because one day he just woke up and he had a light headache, and when the afternoon came, he had passed away. That is how my brother-in-law passed away, and when he died, they didn't have any child, yet he left everything in my sister's name. This is how we ended up living such a comfortable life. Brother Nashi, witchcraft is real. If you have never come across witchcraft, you will think that maybe they are just stories, but in our case, for us to be here in the United Kingdom, it is because of the witchcraft that was used by my mother and by my uncle. Dear listeners, right there was a message that was sent to me by one of our dear brothers. Then we had to give you this translation. Witchcraft is real.